Well, hello, my friends. This is Jason, the Canadian YouTube creator, as you can see by my hat, but also known as Jason Cosmic, RSSP Authority. My present subscribers, they'll know what RSSP stands for, but for you newbies out there, it stands for Real Secret Space Program, way up there. But today we're going to continue on the series of the F-35, Lockheed Martin's F-35. That's right, I want to be known as the F-35 guy as well. So this will be probably part 5. Let's take a deep dive in the F-35 because, my friends, this is vital. This is an absolute social and moral injustice, as I describe what's been going on for over 20 years with this program. Over $1 trillion spent, and it is an absolute turkey of a plane. We'll get into it. But let's first talk about some of the capabilities that the Lockheed Martin and the Pentagon would love you to think, the propaganda machine. How about that? Let's put it this way, right? That this stealth capability. No, let me actually first say, I hope you guys will subscribe to my channel. If you guys do appreciate my intellectual honesty, because I am trying to be bold, honest, open, and true, my friends, right from the heart. I'm trying to help provide that much needed sufficient transparency with you guys out there, and together, my friends, we can be advocates for the truth and break down the walls of this crazy elite secrecy. We absolutely can, and we're starting to unpack more truth. So I hope you guys will subscribe. I want to take this channel to the next level with your support. I know we can do it, okay? And of course, feel free to share my videos. Give me that thumbs up. I hope you will. And leave a comment if you want. I read them. All right? So the supersonic F-35, you know, it's supposed to represent this quantum leap in, you know, air dominance, right? Air dominance capability, you know? It's supposed to be so glorious, and it's going to bring new flexibility and capability to the United States and its allies. That's what they want you to think, right? And also, it's supposed to enhance lethality, of course, and enhance survivability in hostile, you know, anti-airspace environments, in other words, anti-access airspace environments. There's that. And here's the other thing, my friends. Of course, they always brag about this advanced stealth of the aircraft. We'll get into later how I believe stealth is just a scam, as Pure Spray tells you, my friends. It absolutely is. But anyways, let's just say they've got advanced stealth on this thing, right? And so they've got advanced stealth, supposedly, the integrated avionics, the sensor fusion, and superior logistics, okay? And it includes, supposedly, you've got this sophisticated, most powerful, comprehensive, integrated sensor program ever developed by any fighter jet ever, my friends, right? And with this stealth capability, supposedly pilots now, they can go into defended targets and not, you know, and suppress radar, right? They're not going to be detected by the radars that legacy fighters couldn't evade. That's supposedly what's happening. Well, remember, they just did its first operations, the F-35B, right, and the F-35A in Afghanistan, right? They're going after rifled militants in caves and tunnels. Can you believe this? So, as if that's a well-defended target, right? They're going after undefended targets. There, I shot a bullet there, right? This is what Lockheed Martin's doing with the F-35 on its first debut. I said that in the last video, my friends, right? What better way to make your debut on an undefended target? Isn't that something, with this sophisticated plane? And, you know, they want you to think the threshold is under $100 million a plane now, even though that's still super expensive. It's going to be more like $200 million when it's all said and done. But anyways, so you got all this amazing technology, right? And I said, the most comprehensive, this amazing sensor quality, and it's got this advanced avionics on this thing that will give the pilots access to real-time, you know, battle space information, basically giving 360-degree coverage And so they want you to think that it's, you know, it's going to give this unparalleled ability to dominate, you know, these hostile environments and the enemies out there. They always say too, you know, you notice, my friends, they always want you to think in terms of, oh, there's going to be some global threat in the future out there, right? You know, they're always trying to somehow justify these huge defense contracts, and they know you can't. I mean, over $1 trillion spent. We all know, or should know, it's an absolute social injustice, my friends. They are gouging the taxpayers left, right, and center with 9 nations. But I'm supposed to sound positive because I want to talk about the capabilities briefly here, and then we're going to get into the problems of the F-35. So stay with me, my friends, okay? So again, it's got all these advanced avionics on the thing, and when they collect data from the sensors, right? Remember, the sensors are supposed to be all amazing, right? So the data that's collected by those sensors, it goes to the commanders at the sea immediately, right? And commanders in the air and on the ground, they'll get the information apparently, and it'll give them sort of like a multi-view, a multi-fidelity view of ongoing operations, making the F-35, you know, just this prime force, being able to, again, to help consolidate, you know, coalition forces. You know, that's, again, this is all what they want you to think, my friends, with this plane, okay? And again, let's get into the problems of the F-35, my friends, because it is absolutely unbelievable, the amount of problems of this plane, of the F-35, my friends. It just goes on and on and on. You know, of course, when they talk about the capabilities of the F-35, they don't tell you how expensive the repair parts are for this thing, okay? That's one of the major drawbacks. We have reached a point in the F-35, by the way, my friends, where it costs more to repair the aircraft than it does to fly it. Absolutely. But anyway, I hope you guys listen to the supposed capabilities of the F-35. You know, I gotta laugh, my friends, because again, it's widely reported, right? 2018, it finally flew, and they're bombing, as again, I'm repeating myself, I know, my friends, but they're bombing ISIS and Taliban members with rifles. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding? And we know the American CIA, as I said in the last video, they largely created the Taliban and ISIS, right? By instigating us to go to war in Iraq, my friends. Creating all this chaos in the Middle East and these ethnic wars, my friends. This is what the deep state has done, unfortunately, over the years, okay? Not to mention 9/11, but let's stay on the F-35 here, my friends, because I think listing some of the problems of the F-35 is also important to give you guys a broad sort of conceptual overview of what we're dealing with here on this scamming of the taxpayers, my friends. This duplicitous military business scheme, as I always describe, this reclamation project, because it absolutely is. And it's a scam, again, my friends. This whole thing has been based on a lie. We'll get into that in a moment, okay? So, if you recall, at the very inception of the F-35, what happened? You had problems right away, right? You had the F-35 conventional, F-35A for the Air Force, of course. They created the F-35B for the Armed Forces, right? And you got the F-35C for the Navy. Well, as soon as they tried to develop that F-35B for the Armed Forces, there were occurring all kinds of problems and delays and major expenses, because that engine for the F-35B, you see, originally, as I said in the last video, they didn't have the so-called stealth capabilities for the F-35A, but the Army wanted its inclusion, okay? By the way, my friends, whatever stealth capabilities this plane has, believe me, Russia, China, other countries can figure out the radar signatures on this thing. Again, I believe Pierce Sprague, because he's the expert, he tells you that stealth is just a scam within the military, my friends, all right? So, right away when they developed the F-35B and that Stovall capability, right? Remember, they wanted short takeoff and vertical landing of the F-35B. Well, that required a whole new engine, right? That required thousands of engineers, because, you know, it's very complicated to design this kind of engine for this so-called sophisticated, you know, plane. So you ran into major problems. You had, of course, you had concurrency development problems, or you could say an economic of scale as well. That's where they wanted to produce all these parts, you know, sort of have a mass production and being able to dramatically reduce the cost, the unit cost of the plane. That's what the Pentagon supposedly was hoping for. Well, obviously that backfired. We know that, my friends, right? Again, concurrency development, in other words. That's where, again, you're designing the production. They want to design all this production aircraft while at the same time, you know, doing all the flight ground and experimental testing on this thing, okay? Well, what did we see happen? As soon as they put out the first planes, what happened? It was done before the experimental designs were even finished, my friends, right? So you had the engines, you had the software, you had of course, the aerodynamic logistics systems. All that wasn't even integrated at the onset of the program, my friends. It was still in its early stages of development. So you had all these technologies that were not fully developed. And so you can imagine what happened. Like I said in the last video, my friends, right? The Lockheed Martin, the military, they put out their F-35 flight tests, and what happens? Oh, we realize we've got all these electronic and hardware problems. So that caused more overruns and cost delays. You see how, my friends, just like articles will tell you, it's a huge money pit for Lockheed Martin. I describe it, my friends, it's an absolute huge cash cow for Lockheed Martin. And it was designed this way, my friends. I mean, come on. It's just a joke, right? And the engineers, I always say Lockheed Martin have some of the best engineers and scientists. I always give them credit where credit's due. They've made a lot of breakthroughs. But when it comes to the F-35, my friends, they made a lot of mistakes. They didn't understand, I don't think, the conceptual concepts in engineering at the dawn of the program. Because again, it's very complicating designing this engine, you know, for the armed forces. Remember, they wanted a common design, you know, sharing 80% of the parts. They wanted a do-it-you-all airplane. That was the Pentagon's mistake, my friends. We know in history they've tried to do similar things. You know, you can't design a jet plane to serve all branches of the military in one plane. You just can't do it. But again, it serves as a great cash cow for Lockheed Martin. So those are some of the problems right there, my friends, at the dawn of the program. And now again, we see concurrency development problems to this day. And again, my friends, you know, they had built so many production planes. And again, I talked about how those technologies, they weren't fully developed and ready to be integrated in the program. And yet the problem was they already built a lot of production planes when they realized, you know, that they had all this hardware and electronic problems. So that fix was going to be very, very expensive, okay? And then in 2010, I think it was 2010, you had a report from the GAO. I said this before, my friends, on a video. That's the Government Accountability Office. They were issuing dangers, basically, of the policy of concurrent development. They were basically telling you that it was going to be very, very expensive, okay, for the reasons that I stated. And actually it was $1.6 billion. In other words, retrofitting aircraft with, I said before in the last video, my friends, they were retrofitting aircraft with systems that were not fully operational, or they were not working as intended. And again, that fix cost $1.6 billion reported for retrofitting the aircraft, my friends, okay? Then in 2006, first of all, my friends, you had over 12 major problems following 2012, okay? But even before then, you had an attack on, you had a suspected cyber intrusion from Chinese cyber intrusion of the F-35 design and the electronics, basically, where they stole several terabytes of data on this thing related to the program, right? You had a that was 2007, pardon me, and then in 2012, you had an attack on the ABE systems, which is probably even more important and further, just a lot of implications there, because that's an attack literally on the flight controls of the F-35. That's an attack on the software that relates to Of course, the electronic warfare systems packages of the plane, that includes the, you know, the afterburner fuselage and the horizontal vertical tails. Okay, speaking of tails and wings on the thing, you also they had major problems with the wings of the F-35B. That's the, I think, the horizontal vertical wings. Actually, there was a weakness in the structural bulkhead supporting the F-35B wing. So again, my friends, point being, that caused more delays and costs, and that they had to revamp the hardware and software, particularly on those, by the way, on those intrusions on the ABE systems. That meant they had to revamp the hardware, as they say, in the software of the F-35. Again, all these cost delays, all these cost overruns, my friends, just a huge, huge cash cow for Lockheed Martin. I can't stress that enough, my friends. Again, you know, and by the way, speaking of cost, my friends, do you know that this is widely reported? They think in the years to come, it's going to cost $1.5 trillion. I think we're already there, my friends. Reports say, you know, widely reported, it's over $1 trillion spent in this program. I think we're already at 1.5. And they also say it'll be cost, you know, twice as much as sending the man to the moon in the years to come. We're already at that point, my friends. I mean, this is just outrageous. 23 years on this thing, right? They want to go baseline operational, by the way, my friends. I can't get over this. For 18 more years, they want to gouge the taxpayers. This is why we need public vitriol, my friends. We need intelligent discussion, and we need to be vindicated, my friends, and get our power and sovereignty back and get out of this program. We absolutely do, my friends. I haven't even listed all the problems yet, okay? Now, the other issues we got here, my friends, we got inadequate ejection seats on this thing. They have had all kinds of problems on the helmet of the F-35, where guys who weigh less than 165 pounds, this guy who just walked past me, he's pretty fit. He swims and he works out like me. But they've had problems with the helmets on this thing, my friends, for guys who weigh less than 165 pounds, the helmet cueing systems. They've had inadequate logistics software on the F-35, my friends, and it just goes on and on and on, my friends. Okay, and again, the repair parts on this thing, can you imagine? It costs more to repair the aircraft than it does to fly it. And as I said on some of my previous videos, I hope you guys will watch my entire series on the F-35, because I think I'm bringing up a lot of facts. I'm doing some hardcore research, my friends, because again, I think it's so important for our society, my friends. We have got to get the military under control, and some of these defense contractors, the likes of Boeing, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, particularly Lockheed Martin, my friends, they've consolidated way too much power, and the F-35 is an example. Remember, they won that contract back in 1996, 97, right? So, again, my friends, so many issues with this aircraft, and I've told you before, my friends, there was a report in the program from EC News back in 2014, where there was an estimate, and I believe it to be true, when you add up the pots of money, my friends, again, over $1 trillion spent on this program, right, for over 20 years, that the amount of money spent on this program could buy every homeless person in the USA a $600,000 mansion. Just take that in for a minute, my friends. Take a deep breath. Can you imagine? $600,000 mansion. That's exactly right, my friends. And I've yet to hear Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, or Raytheon. I have yet to hear any of these big defense contractors put some of this money for nursing homes. Why not help our old age homes, or pay nurses better? Why don't help the infrastructure in our beautiful planet here, my friends, and beautify our planet more? Why don't they put that money into charity? Why don't they help the sick? Do you ever hear the defense contractors doing that, my friends? I don't. I mean, this is just crazy. And another issue, my friends, I said this in the last video, I believe, but I think it's worth repeating, that now we know Lockheed Martin has spread this vast national and global supplier base. Pardon me. They have spread this vast national global supplier base, right, with 9 foreign nations now. My beautiful people of Canada, our powerful country, Canada, we've got, 8 other nations with us. It's 9 foreign nations total, right? Their purpose for spreading this vast global supplier base, my friends, it wasn't to exercise logistic efficiency or security, my friends. It absolutely wasn't. That's what they want you to think. reason, logic, common sense, and the way the defense contractors work, my friends, and just look, they've been raiding the taxpayers year after year for decades, my friends, okay? The reason they did it was simply because they wanted to put so much money into the JSF, the Joint Striker Fighter program, my friends, that there was no going back. That's exactly their purpose. That's the reason for it. That's why I say this whole program was based on a lie, right, my friends? And this is where we're at. They've sunk so much money into it, my friends, there's seemingly no going back. But we've got to talk about it, my friends, and we've got to try, at least try, to compel our governments and leadership to smarten up and get us out of this program. Stop scamming the taxpayers, okay? And I've told you before, my friends, I was shocked to find out my beautiful people, or my powerful country, Canada here, and our people, our government, we have spent over $500 billion for 20 years on a plane that we didn't even know would ever fly. We're never even going to purchase these planes ourselves, my friends. You know, we put an investment in that we may purchase the planes. We're never going to buy them, nor should we. Again, the US are armed to the teeth. I keep saying that, my friends, because they are. And I haven't even talked about the black budget technology. And of course, the black triangles, the TR-3B, my friends. And it would literally leave the F-35 in the dust. It absolutely would. We'll get into that in future videos, my friends. But just know, my friends, the US have so many, even jet planes, let alone black budget technology, my friends. They've got so many, you know, planes that they can protect Canada and all their allies, all their partner nations, my friends, right? That's reason, logic, common sense. Come on. We do not need even one F-35, and none of these countries need a fleet of F-35s, my friends. They absolutely do not. It's a scam. It's a duplicitous military business scheme, my friends, and we got to get out of it. We deserve better than this, okay? We absolutely do, and it's a Turkey plane, my friends. I forgot to tell you, one of the major problems, again, from the inception of the program, remember, my friends, in 2004, I believe it was, remember, they had problems with that F-35B, creating it for the armed forces with that engine. Well, in 2004, it was 2,000 pounds overweight, if you recall, right? It couldn't even meet its performance goals. That's another major issue, my friends. Again, they boistered a fat, bulky airframe on this ugly mutt of a plane. Even articles have said an ugly mutt. I call it a turkey plane like Pure Spray does, my friends. I mean, it is absolute turkey. Look at this thing. And it hardly has any wings. That's why Pure Spray also calls it a melon. I mean, come on, it's a joke. And my friends, what is the F-35, by the way? You know, they brag about its performance, its stealth capability. I told you, stealth is just a scam. They brag about the sensors. Well, any new plane is going to have supposedly the best technology if it's a new plane, right? Well, what is the F-35, though, going to do in a low-altitude ground troop support operation, my friends? I'll tell you what it's going to do. Absolutely nothing, because the thing can hardly turn. It hardly has any wings, like I said. And as Pure Spray says, it goes so fast, you know, in higher altitudes, I guess, you can't even spot targets with your eyeballs. And speaking of, you know, relying on all this technology, my friends, China and Russia, as they already have, they're hacking into the systems. You don't think China and Russia is going to be able to hack into these sensors and so-called advanced avionics? In other words, of course they are, my friends. Absolutely. You've even got, I'll give you an example, my friends. Remember, you've got, there was a programming bug in 8 million codes that actually operate the avionics and the electronics of the F-35, my friends. Absolutely. So it's already happening. I mean, again, my friends, it's an absolute joke. It's just a cash cow for Lockheed Martin. I hope you guys enjoyed this video today, me discussing the problems of the F-35 and so-called capabilities, which is largely that's not even true, my friends, okay? Don't buy into the propaganda about all the wonderful capabilities of the F-35. And my friends, there's no future global threat to justify F-35s. Come on, my friends. I've told you before in other videos that where is the enemy for the United States? Where is the enemy for these other nations to have to procure the F-35s in these 9-4 nations? There isn't. The United States, again, can protect all these countries. And if they're going to do a bombing campaign, remember, my friends, they're bombing the Taliban and ISIS, people, again, with rifles, my friends. Where is the sophisticated enemy, right, with sensors and surface-to-air missiles, as I said in one of my other videos? There isn't. There absolutely isn't, my friends. They would literally have to do a bombing campaign over North Korea, Iran, China, or Russia. And if you do that, we all know any technological prowess of the F-35 will be the least of American worries, my friends, okay? And they're not looking at doing a bombing campaign on those countries. Certainly hope not. They talk about the attack on Iran, but my friends, the bottom line, any which way you look at it, we do not need a fleet of F-35s, and we don't even need one, my friends, okay? Again, it's just a huge cash cow for Lockheed Martin. I want you to remember that, and let's get out this program. Thanks very much for your time, my friends. Thanks for being gracious today again. And I hope you guys will subscribe. I hope you share my videos perhaps. And again, give me that thumbs up and feel free to leave a comment. Thanks for all my present subscribers. Okay, let's get some new ones too. Take care, guys. Live strong. Have a great day. We don't need Lockheed Martin's F-35. See you. Bye-bye.